My wife texted from Vegas. I married my coworker. You're useless, I replied. Okay, my name is Jayan. I quote my man who, until recently, thought he had a perfectly normal life in sunny Los Angeles, California. I work as a financial analyst, a job that requires a certain level of precision and foresight. I'm 33 years old, and 4 years ago, I married the woman I thought was the love of my life, a lovely but complicated person named Diana. We met in graduate school where we were both studying psychology. Diana was drawn to people who she felt were intellectually inferior, and I, conversely, preferred people who didn't feel the need to prove their cleverness. She was charismatic and engaging, with a laugh that consumed her whole face. She once remarked that she admired how composed I remained when I was upset, as if my stillness were a virtue. I introduced her to chess, and after she defeated me once, she refused to ever play again, stating that winning was the sole purpose. We purchased a beautiful house and began building what I believed was a life together. But the foundation started to crack. It began with extended work meetings, then girls' weekends, and finally corporate retreats. Her phone, once left open and unguarded, was suddenly password protected. I didn't need to snoop to know what was happening. I could see the truth in her eyes. When someone has already made the decision to harm you, there's a subtle but undeniable shift. They stop performing small, thoughtful gestures. The affection becomes calculated, like a performance. During the final week, I noticed her humming as she packed her bags, oblivious. She thought she could destroy everything with a single text. She underestimated the power of silence. 2 nights ago, my phone vibrated with a text. The message was concise and cold. Just married my coworker. You're pathetic, BTW. Attached was a photograph, her in a white cocktail dress, him in a suit in front of a tacky chapel with flashing neon hearts, a glass of champagne in her hand. She believed I wouldn't react. She was mistaken. My response was a single word: cool. Then I went to work. I blocked every single one of her cards: credit, debit, joint accounts. I changed the locks on our home and the security codes. I revoked her access to the cloud, removed her from our insurance plans, and froze our shared brokerage account. I then contacted the bank and filed a report of suspected fraud. Her impromptu marriage in Las Vegas, Nevada, only strengthened my case. By morning, her entire world was a digital ghost town. The knock came at precisely 6:12 a.m., 3 concise taps. It wasn't urgent, but it wasn't casual either. It was the police. I stood at the door in my robe, a warm mug of coffee in one hand, the other resting on the deadbolt. I opened it to find 2 officers, a man and a woman. The male officer spoke first. Mr. Lierard? I nodded. We need to ask you some questions about a report filed in Nevada, he said. I took a sip of my coffee. I assume this is about my wife. I paused for effect. Ex-wife, I mean. They exchanged a look. The male officer continued. She's filed a complaint. Claims you committed financial abuse, that you've locked her out of joint accounts. I smiled faintly. We are residents of California. Joint accounts, unless a court orders otherwise, fall under state jurisdiction. She abandoned me. She married someone else. She walked away from her financial obligations. I simply protected my assets, I added. But if she wants to argue about theft, I'd be more than happy to present the prenup. Another pause. She didn't mention a prenup, the officer said. Of course she wouldn't have. My strategy had begun months ago. It wasn't about revenge. It was about being prepared. I noticed the change in her and started to record everything. Not illegally, just logging. I documented her absences, the receipts from her trips, the overnight stays. She was using our shared funds to buy gifts for him. I kept all the proof, spending 2 full weekends printing and organizing it, timestamping every single transaction as if it were a legal file. Then I simply waited. The moment she left, I reported the unauthorized use of funds, and I included the wedding photo as evidence. The financial institutions didn't hesitate. I had already consulted with a lawyer, set up a trust, and moved assets to shield myself. My actions were quiet, legal, and surgical, but the ultimate blow wasn't the money. It was the house. The next day, she called me from a friend's phone, her voice frantic. She said I had no right to lock her out. You don't live here anymore, I calmly replied. You're married to someone else. Have your new husband take care of you. I hung up. 3 days later, she appeared on our lawn. Her makeup was smeared, Her new husband was behind her, already inching back toward his car. I think he was beginning to understand who she really was without the filters. She pounded on the door, shouting insults at me. I didn't open it. I just turned on the sprinklers and watched her mascara run through my security camera feed. Now the two officers stood awkwardly on my porch in Palo Alto, California. She's also pressing harassment charges, the female officer said. Claims you're retaliating. I held up my phone. Would you like to see the texts where she mocks me for being boring? Admits she only married me for stability. And brags about cheating with her boss for over a year? Silence, I have those, I said, a slight smile on my face. I also have copies of every hotel charge and every flight receipt. I never responded, never retaliated. I let her unravel on her own. They didn't take me into custody. They simply left. The annulment was denied. It turns out that marrying someone while still legally bound to someone else, especially after draining shared funds, is a complicated matter. Her new husband left her after 10 days, likely after seeing the debt she'd accumulated. I received full ownership of the house. She was served papers from 3 different creditors and is now facing a fraud investigation from our bank. Sometimes late at night I can still hear her voice, but I no longer hear her laughter. That disappeared long before her trip to Vegas. Revenge isn't born from rage. It is born from restraint. Pain is fleeting, but silence, it echoes. And when you wield it correctly, it can haunt someone forever. And if you want more shocking family secrets and twisted betrayals, make sure to subscribe to Home Exposed, because the next story might just be about someone like you.